In this video, you're going to learn exactly what to do when your man stops chasing you. If you're dating a guy and you notice that he isn't calling or texting like before and you want him to start pursuing you again, then stay right here because you're about to learn 5 powerful tips that will work like magic and get him chasing more than ever. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello and I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy together. So hit subscribe, join our community, and you won't miss any of our videos focused on making your love life the best part of your life. This video makes a bold claim. When he stops chasing you, do these things and he will begin to chase you again. Oh, and these tips work like magic. Does that sound too good to be true? Well, I assure you, these powerful tips work and they work for the right reasons. And these tips are not tricks or mind games or pretending not to care. Because honestly, those things don't really work on a high quality man. No, a high quality man will see right through those games and is not going to pursue a woman who pretends that she's not interested or acts flaky or plays games to keep him interested. Instead, these tips work because they involve you making a mind shift and demonstrating that you are a high value woman and showing him that you are this irresistible queen that he just can't get enough of. And when you do that, he's going to do everything in his power to pursue you, to chase you, and to prove to you that he needs you in his life. So yes, when you apply these principles in your life, you are going to see changes in him that seem like magic, and you will be very happy with your results. So without further ado, here are the 5 tips. Number 1, believe you are the prize. The first and most important tip is that you must believe in the core of your being that you are a woman who deserves to be loved unconditionally by a wonderful man. And when you believe that, then you will make a man work hard to win your affection and your love, and not the other way around. A perfect example of believing that you are the prize is the story of Franceschina and Cesare, otherwise known as my mom and dad. My 27-year-old father returned to Italy for a long vacation, and while visiting his uncle's home, he caught his first glimpse of my 18-year-old mother as she was hanging clothes on the neighboring balcony, and he was mesmerized. What do you think happened next? He slid into her DMs. He asked for her Snapchat. He matched with her on Bumble. Actually, it wasn't so easy for men back then. Keep watching because this story demonstrates how believing that you are the prize works, and it also highlights how modern dating puts a woman at a significant disadvantage compared to the more traditional and old school practice of courting. Back to the story. How did he meet her? Well, first he asked his uncle and aunt about her. Who was she? What family is she from? How old was she? Was she taken? He asked them if they could make an introduction. And of course, that's when his aunt and uncle went to work to try to make a connection. They did that by first talking to my grandparents. Basically, they approached my grandparents and asked for their blessing in allowing my father to get to know my mother. My grandparents agreed that he could start visiting my mother and their family at home. And of course, all of this was happening with the intention of courting her for marriage. Now, what does that mean? Well, my father had to win not only my mom's heart, he needed to win the affection of her parents and family. So he began spending time with them at their home. He began going to their home on Sundays to have dinner with the family. And eventually, they started going on chaperone dates. Do you know what that even looks like? It looked like my mom's brothers and sisters and other family members being with them at all times. They would go for walks. Maybe her brothers and sisters would be 20 or 30 feet behind them so that they could talk in private, but yeah, that's how they dated. And eventually, both my grandparents and my mother agreed to an engagement and then marriage. The lesson here is that my mother was always the prize, and my father had to work hard to prove that he was a good man. He had to prove that he was honorable and that his intentions with my mother were good. He wanted to marry her. And so he did everything he could to prove to her and her family that he was good enough and worthy of her. After all, she was the prize. And after 5 or 6 months of courting, they agreed to get married. Obviously, their story is very different from the way people date today. Gone is the courting with intention. Instead, now people date as if it's a sport. And men now say things like, look, I gotta be honest with you. I really don't want a commitment. I'm not looking for anything serious. So why don't we just date and hang out and just keep doing what we're doing? And as for the women who want to be in a relationship, well, it's almost as if they feel like they're the ones who have to prove themselves worthy. And this is the problem that so many women face today. But it doesn't have to be that way. All of that can be changed, and it starts by shifting your mindset right now and starting to look at dating and relationships from a different perspective. You must believe first and foremost that a man needs to prove himself worthy of you. He is a man, and men are prepared to do that. It's in their DNA, and they have been socialized to do so for thousands of years. They are prepared to pursue and chase you because you are the prize. It doesn't matter how much you may have chased him in the past. It doesn't matter if you feel like you made some mistakes. From this point forward, you must pivot, change your mindset, and know that he must prove he is worthy of you and not the other way around. Change your mindset and remember that you are the prize and you are deserving. And when you believe that, you behave in a way that demonstrates this feeling, and it influences all of your interactions with him. And then you radiate with positive energy. So if he's stopped chasing you, if he's stopped texting or calling you or asking you out, you cannot assume the role and start texting and calling him. And I understand that many of you may be doing that now, and that's okay. But from this point forward, stop, pivot, believe that you are the prize, and then do number two. Number two, you must allow him to court you. And this is a must. That means that you cannot court him. That means that you cannot pursue him. You cannot be the one that is overzealous and constantly looking for him and contacting him. That means that 85% of the time, you are going to let him be the first one to text and call and make plans with you. He's the one who's going to be texting you good morning. He's the one who's going to be calling you. He's the one who's going to be asking you for plans. Now, I know that many of you are saying, oh boy, I've made some mistakes. I'm the one who's been texting and calling and asking him. And that's okay. It's not too late. Just stop texting and calling him or asking him for plans. Wait for him to do it because he is a man and he needs to do that. And some of you might be afraid to try this. So many women have told me, I'm afraid if I don't call or text him, he will not reach out to me at all. And I understand that fear, but you must refer back to number one and trust the process. For thousands of years, men have been conditioned to chase women. They need to feel like they have earned the right to be with you. So trust the process. Stop calling and texting him and he will notice. And when he doesn't hear from you, he's going to miss you and you will know it. And let me explain why this works and why you need to allow him to chase you. First, men value the things that they've worked for and earned. As I've talked about before, the more effort he puts into you, the more he will appreciate and like you as a result. So let him work for you. Second, he's a man, and from both an evolutionary perspective as well as from a cultural perspective, men are prepared to pursue women in the courting process. If you are pursuing him, you risk upsetting this expectation and his desire to pursue you. The third reason, when you let him initiate contact most of the time, it allows you to gauge his level of interest in you. In other words, you will know how he feels based on how proactive he is about seeing you and keeping in touch with you. Number three, share your love and affection only after you've secured a commitment in his life. In other words, before you know where you stand with a man, don't start acting head over heels in love with him. Doing so with a newly interested man may result in him no longer seeing you as a challenge worthy of his full attention. Instead, it's important to reach a mutual level of interest before you show him how smitten you are. If a man is making sincere and consistent attempts to make you want him, then he's probably really into you and becoming infatuated. Take things slowly. Remember, men want that which is a challenge to obtain. They want to prove they are good enough for you. Showing him your feelings too early makes him feel like he's the center of your universe. And that is anything but a challenge. Again, if you've been overly loving and affectionate, it's not too late. You just need to pull back and stop doing that until you are in a committed relationship. And number four goes along with number three. Number four, never be too accessible before a serious relationship develops. Before he is fully committed and serious about making a future with you, don't always be available for him by always saying yes when he calls and asks you to go out, especially if he's calling with short notice. Saying no to his request for plans sends him the message that you have other engagements or commitments that are taking priority, at least at this time when he's asking. It also forces him to recognize your independence and that you're not just sitting by the phone waiting for his calls. Remember, one of the most important things that men find attractive in women is independence. He's got to know how full and complete your life is. And if he becomes part of it, it's because you want him to be part of it, not because you need him to be part of it. So remember, don't be so eager to give a man access to your time and attention, and don't give up your time with your family and friends and hobbies when a new guy asks you out on a last-minute date. Trust me, he will appreciate and respect you more as a result. Number 5, never act exclusive with a man who is still keeping his options open. If a man tells you he's not looking for a relationship or anything serious, you need to believe him and stop investing more of yourself and your feelings. And this goes back to number 1. If you believe that you are the prize, you will know that you can do better. You will never entertain the idea of getting involved with a man who doesn't want a relationship, regardless of how attractive or successful or popular or desirable he might be. Oh, and the second part of this, don't believe for a minute that you are the one who's going to change a playboy into Mr. Commitment. I can't tell you the number of times a woman will ask me for advice on this very issue. She's in love with and dating a man who acts like a boyfriend but does not want any type of relationship or commitment. And when I ask why she got involved with him, they usually tell me that they thought if the relationship was special, if she were the special one, she would be able to sway him into wanting a serious relationship. But that's not how it works. When a man shows a cavalier attitude towards commitment or tells you that he doesn't want a relationship, believe him and know that you can and you will do better. I go into more detail of how you can make a man chase you again in this video. Go ahead and click here to watch that video next. And please subscribe, join our community focused on building great relationships so you can grow happy together. I'll see you in the next video.